DeLong that these are things you condemn in time past.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's there now. He wants to enjoy the comfort of luxury. What it means to ride on business class and the economic class. He wants to do that. But doing it now, he's confronted with his
because
previous,
of his initial expression.
yeah, his previous display
Mm-hmm.
of purity, his previous display of his argument in time past
Mm-hmm.
that what the colleague, but then his colleagues now
Mm-hmm.
were doing in time past, even those that came before him, what they were doing that he condemned. Now he finds it difficult to openly use the very opulence or money that he's privileged to. You can tell me that the money that DeLong used in Ghana to have upgraded his ticket was not gotten the right way. It was gotten, you earn it. But now he's confronted with some circumstance as it relates to unnecessary spending.
So we are deductively, what I'm getting from you is that it's difficult for you to live as a saint, political saint, if I may put it that way,
Right.
political saint in this society, because by the time you get involved, you get corrupted.
No, not really. It's not difficult. What I'm finding difficult to understand, or my point I'm trying to push for, is that it becomes difficult when, in realistic terms, you are not able to live by what you preach. Then it becomes difficult for you as a person to live that standard.
But is it really easy to live up to that standard?
So what you do now as a sincere person is to be able to tailor your communication in a way that you live by that.
I mean, you have a window to come out at a time. There are
of course, and not present yourself as a Puritan. Because when you present yourself as a Puritan, it means that people look up to you to live according to what you are saying.
Right.
And attempt not to do so. Why do you think all the guys receive the money, the $30,000? They all receive it. But why are people not climbing down hard on the lack of Edwin Snow, Dixon Sibo? Because the manner in form in which they have governed themselves over the year has not been to present themselves as Puritans. But they have played their politics in a way that they have always been condemned in some corridors. Oh, these guys are corrupt. These guys are this, whatever the case is. Because they tailored their message before they got to where they are.
So lastly.
So DeLong got the admiration of his supporters by such huge number because his message that he sent across prior to his victory has been, when I get there, I will initiate this change. And he was daringly saying it, that he will live according to the change he's calling for. Because one of the quotations has always been, we should be the change
that we want to see.
So having gotten there and then leaving your own country to transit somewhere else so as to have your ticket upgraded was extremely insincere.
So he undermined himself.
Of course, he did.
Okay. Mr. Kesali, you are from the CPP, and I think this issue is dear to your heart. If not, maybe I may just have to take back my word. Let's quickly hear from you.
So, I mean, I firstly have to disagree with Adolphus on quite a few points he made. It is a disservice to the senator to say he pushed to be a pure guy or Puritan, as he repeatedly said, or a perfect person. I mean, he specifically used that word. I mean, there's no perfect person. Even the Bible does recognize that. Now, what Senator DeLong through the CPP promised the people of Montserrat County is a difference. He did not promise to be a pure guy, a saint, to live like Jesus Christ. He did not make that promise. Now, understand that we as humans are privy. I mean, we will make errors no matter what we do. We slip along the line sometimes, right? The issue of the senator, upgrading his ticket in Ghana and, not coming out to say the truth initially, was a terrible mistake he made, and he recognized that he made a mistake.
And so, sorry, if you were not to use the word mistake, would you prefer using deception?
It was not deceptive.
Okay, anyway,
no. Let me tell you that it was not deceptive. Okay, it was a lie, but it was not. It was not a deception. Now, if you make an attempt to deceive people and you fail at it, you lie. You have not deceived them. So it is not a deception. So let's just, provide that little clarity there.
Go ahead.
Now, he recognized that based on the fact that he pushed so hard for change, he's held at a whole different level. And Adolphus, recognized that amongst his peers, a lot of people expect more from him because he said more. He's asked that we should.
What have you said,
more.
by the way?
He said we should be different.
You just said he did not promise the people
lawmakers, I'm
much.
coming.
Why should people
I didn't
go
say he
in?
did not promise people much.
And
I
much
I
like,
said
he
he did not promise to be a saint,
to be a
and
saint.
there's no one who will be a saint.
So why should people hold him accountable? On what ground?
Because he asked the people to hold him accountable, and that public officials should be held accountable. Now, what Dillon has started
Mhm.
is something that we should keep pushing for among public service, officials.
Mm.
People in public positions should be accountable to the citizenry. They should be open to rebuke. When the citizens rebuke you and you recognize that, yes, you err and you come back and apologize, that means something is happening in our country. If you were to look in our recent history,
Mm.
there's not like been politicians who slipped and come back and apologize. They will keep living the lie and they keep pushing the lie until people start to believe the lie.
So that makes
But
Dillon
Senator Dillon,
different.
no, he rose above our expectations and he came down and he humbled himself and he told his constituents that he made a terrible mistake and that it will not be repeated and the people can keep having faith in him. And so, what do we do? Can we go and sue him? Now, the person who has not committed a sin should be the one to throw the first stone. Who would do that in Liberia?
Okay.
Obviously, not the CDC, not George, not Samatua and the other lacks. And those are the people,
Mm.
and those are the very people who the country understand honest living.
Mm.
It is not that he stole from anybody. It was his own money. I mean, based on the fact that people, consider it to be insensitive, and I must be honest, it feels insensitive and it's provocative to the people.
It
just as
feels
it is
feels-
insensitive,
Uh-huh.
and it looks and appears insensitive among people because people are
No,
hungry.
no,
I'm
Mr.
coming.
Kesali, stop playing with the words like that.
Matthias.
Yeah, I know you have to choose your words, but
I'm
feels
trying to liken.
insensitive.
Excuse me. I'm
It is
trying to.
insensitive.
I'm
It
trying
looks
to.
insensitive.
I'm trying to
Can you
liken
give me
this.
example?
I'm trying to liken
Mhm,
this. I'm
mhm.
trying to liken this
Mhm.
with the display of extravagance that Minister Nathaniel McGill did. Now, the difference between the two is that one was honest. He come back and say, "Hey, I did this. It was a mistake I made. Next time when I do anything like this, I'll be honest with you and tell the truth." But McGill comes back and tell you, "Hey, this is not your money. Even though we know it is our money, this is not your money. But I had to send my mother, peacefully, or I had to show respect according to the Bible."
Quoting
You
the
know,
fifth commandment.
Which-
Yes.
which is preposterous to say the least, that someone would try to, use the Bible. Look, be not deceived, God is not mocked. You cannot use the Bible in such deceptive way and try to
Let's go back to the
conjure
Dillon
up
thing.
lies and try to,
Dillon thing seems deceptive. It seems, that kind of way, all of
it
that
was a lie. It was not a deception.
is a lie.
It was a lie. It's
He
not a
lied.
deception. But he admitted it. What do you want me to say?
Okay. All right.
Even
No,
the senator, excuse me,
Mm.
even the senator admitted,
Yeah, please.
even the senator admitted
Mhm.
to the fact that he slipped terribly and he apologized to the people. What, do you expect me to say something different?
But he's a human.
He's a human. We should expect that.
Everyone is not, is.
I mean, the
is
injury
privy to error.
sustained, if to compare the injury sustained from the decision taken by Senator Dillon
Mm.
to spend his own public funds, his own earnings, by the way, his own earning, not public funds,
Mm.
to upgrade his ticket, right?
Mm.
Compared to Nathaniel Fallow McGill spending hundreds of thousands of dollars just to send his mother to rest. Which one is more injurious to the
Okay,
public?
now let me go back. I can just wrap up on that. I have the main question I have for you guys is that, about the opposition and the ruling position. Who can be trusted moving forward, 2023? Because given the analysis Kesari just made, it's giving me a foundation. I just built a foundation on my question. I can ask more questions from that particular one.
Mhm.
CPP, CDC. But for the 5 seconds, you want to zero in on what he said.
So are you saying Adolphus is representing the CDC? here?
No, I don't know.
I just want to get
But he's just an objective. Maybe he just want to be neutral. Yeah.
It's implicit.
No, my God.
You come to realize that
Mhm.
you have Macaulay and I, we are from two different perspectives.
Mhm.
I am from purely a civil societal perspective,
Mhm.
and that's the reason why I'm here to be sincere and objective
Yeah.
when it comes to the issues under discussion. And you come to realize that Kesali is extremely political in his analysis here, and I think it is wrong to behave that way. Because
But he's a politician. What do you expect, sir?
so it tells me that he's initiating deception to the public.
Also, point out a few.
So-
Yes.
Here it is.
Mm.
If you were you to look at McGill
Mhm.
and the Delon situation, you come to realize that I think McGill is more sincere than Delon
How so?
in this case.
How
The
so?
reason is simple. I just told you,
You remember you talk about expediency, right?
yes,
Okay,
I
go
spoke in
ahead.
the context of expediency.
Mhm.
I am not saying if you have your earning, you don't have the right to use it. But owing to the circumstance on ground, one could say I'm retiring from going this route because of analysis in the corridor as it relates to what I'm doing, how I am spending my earning, because people are going to bed hungry. The current state of the economic affair in the country is not too favorable, and I'm a leader of the people. I think I can manage what I'm doing, how I lay my mother to rest in this manner. That's why I spoke in the context of expediency. It doesn't mean he didn't have the right to use his wealth.
I get that.
Good. So that point should be understood. Two, DeLong cannot be the one preaching yesterday that spending like that is wrong and then come back to do it. So you come to realize that was not earnestly you display.
Okay. Yeah, for
Why
the
you
first
did-
second
I
and
have
last
to
side.
respond. I have to
What he
respond to
did-
what he's just
what
said.
he did was that
the young man has
since
No,
the
just hold on,
document, since
Kesali.
the document as relates to the upgrading of his ticket got exposed already, he had no option.
But to come and apologize. So
but
it
to
was not a
apologize.
sincere apology.
So it was because of
The pressure.
how the document came to the public glare. So he was forced now, on account of pressure, like you rather put it, to come and apologize. I don't see that as sincerity. Sincerity would have meant in his purity, in the spirit of the word sincerity, would have meant in the absence of the display of the document that upgraded his ticket, and come and say. Then you see sincerity at that level.
And even at some point, he was defending that some of the
Defending
supporters.
what-
And
so-
quickly.
So that's not sincerity. So the point is that my argument in the case of McGill is on account of expediency. I'm not condemning the
But
expenditure. of his
McGill
wealth.
is more sincere.
So he's
Yeah, he's
condemned.
more
you know,
sincere
than
because
Dillon.
he didn't ask anybody this question. He chose to give his mother such a befitting burial on account of his earning.
Thank you. Quickly. We have to move on to another talking point quickly. So you want to zero in 30 seconds?
Now, it's unfortunate that Adolphus is trying to, be deceptive. Let me use the word because he's used it repeatedly. To be deceptive to the audience here. Now,
Injection.
So
Excuse me,
please,
please.
he's gonna come in Adolphus. Adolphus, hold on a little bit.
You need to
No, Adolphus,
You need to
hold on a
hold
little
it,
bit.
man.
No, he's not somebody that's out of control. All of you guys are,
You know,
mature. I know we can have a civil conversation. Right.
But he did
I
not
need-
Cassidy, just hold on a little bit.
If you say all the men lie, but he didn't deceive. I mean, Cassidy cannot do that.
Okay.
In the public.
You
How can
didn't.
he lie and he did not deceive.
He did not
How
deceive.
lie does?
Excuse me.
Deception is when you succeed in deceiving people, but in this case, you lie, according to the definition.
I'm coming.
of
I'll
Cassidy.
tell you the
So
truth.
just hold on a little bit, Adolphus.
Adolphus,
You 30 seconds now. Cassidy, we got to move on to a more, touching.
I mean,
yeah.
give it, man, young man,
Go
2
ahead.
minutes.
Go ahead, sir.
Ask you-
No, not 2 minutes,
No,
please.
it's- it's-
Go ahead.
But the
Cassidy.
truth of the matter is,
Mm.
Senator Dillon bought a ticket. There was a public outcry, and he came back to the public and he presented the facts to the public. Nathaniel McGill has buried his mother. There is public outcry. He has not come back to the public and tell the public, this is where I got the money from, this is how much I spent, and this is how.
But
I
he
raised-"
just
I'm
said
coming,
he's the
I'm
minister
coming,
of state and he's paid.
I'm
He's
coming.
paid for the position he occupies.
The
Right?
same minister of state who's just been paying LBD alone. How can you, if we were to calculate the total amount of money he has made as minister, paying back his loan, and then deducting from the amount he spent to bury his mother, I mean, it pale in comparison. It doesn't make sense.
What is
He
the
would not-
point now?
I'm coming.
Mm.
He would not be able to have such an amount of dollars. He has used his position as minister to corrupt the public. Either use it for his connections, use it to raise the to steal public funds and spend it on his mother. That's the truth. How can you even think about comparing what McGill has done to the public with what happened with Senator Dillon? The
Let's-
difference here is that Senator Dillon told you, and it's the fact that he used his own earnings.
And the difference,
coming.
the
My
information
girl
there now.
cannot tell you
Mm.
he used his own earnings. All he will tell you is that you should send your mother to you should honor your mother and your father. That's all my girl tells
Okay,
you.
let's hold it
So
there
how
now.
can you
Let's
compare
hold it
the
there. I
two
know
people?
in wrapping up, we're going to zero in on these things now, gentlemen. We have a government in place called the CDC, and it's a coalition government, right? It has about 3 political parties there altogether. We have the CPP also. It wants to come to power. It's doing everything it can. I want to begin with you, Kasali. What should the thing about it at this point now, Mr. Weir is not a politician, so he may not be giving a political view. But
He's a-
objectively, I know you're going to weigh in.
He's a
Yeah.
politician. Let's
What do
be
you
honest.
think about? You're accusing this guy. What do
No,
you
he is.
think
I mean,
about
No,
the
it depends. The CDC here
the
is-
CPP and the CDC? Why should you, folks from the CPP, replace the CDC? I want to put it that way. So,
I mean, it's quite clear. the CPP.
Can you spend 3 minutes on this
The
quickly
CPP,
to give us
the CPP,
how so?
and about the country
Mm.
and about developing like that believe in taking the power. When they came to power, they've had 2 stages, and the third one will be coming. The first stage, it was George Weah's turn to loot public funds, build his condominiums, build mansions around, build his Minister McGill's. That's when they will come, to tracks of the CDC-led government. Now, the CPP will be quite different from the CDC. If you were to analyze the time CDC was serving in the opposition. Now, the CPP has been more constructive. The CPP has engaged the government more responsibly. The CPP has presented suggestions and policy prescriptions that should have helped Mr. Weah and the CDC, in fact, to succeed. Now, as an opposition community, we believe that if Josh Weah honestly, sincerely works hard and succeeds, and he develops a lot of places and give Liberians, better economy, it'll be hard to beat him. But we want him to succeed, because when he succeeds, it is Liberia that will be succeeding. Now, if you were to measure that from the CDC, they don't want anybody else to succeed, except them. And they come down, they're not going to change anything. They keep doing the same thing that they found out yesterday. Now, the CPP has remained engaged with Liberians. We have opened this platform where Liberians, ordinary people, all in the slum communities, are having a say. I mean, their voices are so powerful. Now they can make their own senators and representatives to come back to them and want to be accountable. It is the CPP that is raising that bar. Now, this is the bar we are raising right now. When we get to power, understand that this bar will never be lowered.
Okay.
It'll keep going up and up. And then we can ensure that we have a better economy. Let me tell you this. When the CPP come to power, we're not going to be talking about just roads, right? We will be talking about improving our economy. Look, if you have $100, right? And you take the entire $100 and you put it just on facing one substandard road, right? Versus when you have $100 and you invest it in 5 different places and raise $1,000 and say, okay, we spend $200 to fix roads and the other $800 we're going to invest it. I mean, that's the mentality. I'm being very simplistic, by the way, trying to make people understand. That's the mentality we come to power with, to honestly change the livelihood of our people. Because look, people are struggling, people are suffering. If you look at our processes at Freeport, it's so tedious. It's so difficult. The bureaucracy is unnecessary. It is not succeeding. It has failed miserably. When the CPP comes, there will be a radical change, an immediate change, something that will be very effective. So ensure that the ordinary people all around the country can feel the impact and can be able to live in better place. We'll have a more responsible government. Ensure that the people will have a say in matters. We're not going to get up one morning while approaching 20 and then decide to shut down a red light, which is, by the way, the biggest market in the country, without no plans. Look, there's a government that just run on the toss of the
wing, and we have Mr. Adonis Weah. He's the chair of the Center for the Exchange of Intellectual Opinions. Mr. Weah, at this point, I don't know what is a critical thing that you have to do to tell us why the CPP should replace the CDC or all of that. But you and I petition, give us your objective view on this. Please.
So once more, I thank you, Labindi, and that I must say emphatically that there are too many political theories, some of which are conspiracy theory or conspiracy oriented. That is, once a person wants to get a power, it brings to my mind what Nicolas Machiavelli said about the end justifying the means, because no one gets to the people to get their support and come with negativism. What you normally come with will always be pleasantry, what they want to hear. And that's what you use as an implement to get power from them. And so when we say that governance is continuity, the context there is that no government is complete. Every government will have a tenure, it will have to end. But in terms of achievables, doing those things that the people elected that government for will have to be continuous. That is one government. That way you have succession of government. One government comes, goes, another one comes in, so as to keep leading and doing those things the people want. So it is. So you had a situation with the current ruling establishment, that is the CDC-led government under President George Manneh Weah. See what he's grappling with, both of which are condemnable. But you have to grapple with them because he must look for the means to do those things. Now, prior to his government, you had a situation with the United Party-led government that Ellen have to describe corruption that metamorphosed from one stage to the other. And her vice president then concurred with her that they squandered opportunities. So what are you telling me? So if Cassidy says here, and you have conscious people in radio and listening, that when the CP comes, I mean, they will be able to initiate drastic change. I mean, that is illusionary. Because what's a guarantee that even the face, one of the faces of the current construct of the CP has clearly informed the world that they squander opportunity, alluding to failure. You still have the faces coming back. Leave him. Get to even you who is currently pressing Omen Boaka to go through so to succeed. What's their motive? Look at your association with Taylor. How did they lead this country? How did he turn to be a millionaire and all of that? I mean, so one government will have its own problem. So you don't give such assurance to the people knowing fully well that they've experienced governance in this country and they know who Joe Boaka is, the old man, the former vice president of this country. They know who Kumi is, what has been his role relative to his own investment work, and they know who the other guys who are in the
Liberty Party.
The Liberty Party guys. They know their history and all of that. So you don't come to preach a message as though these people are God sent.
Oh, what you say? Yeah, go ahead.
So the point is that they will come with their messages. It is left with the people to have them elected, but I'm not sure that drastic change on their watch is possible. Knowing fully well that those who led the past administration and who are currently in the enrichment admitted to weaknesses for which this country could not prosper.
So let me get to some specifics now. I'm going to get to you, Mr. Kesali. But now the point you're making now is that with all these explanation that Mr. Kesali information is providing, and reasons why the CPP should be elected, these are all empty talks,
of course,
that the people will have to filter and know. Okay,
of course, they are empty talks that normal politicians like Kesali would do. Now we've come from the angle of CEO with an objective point. That is, in as much they are condemnable things in this government is currently grappling with. And we condemn on a daily basis as CEO on other talk shows, whatever the case is. It tells you that imperfection exists in every government. So you can't come and say, you can't guarantee the people, the citizens of Liberia, that when we come, we initiate drastic change. What's the guarantee?
Let's deal with one issue right now, right? With the guarantee you're talking about. Before we open the lines and hear from the audience. And Kesset is going to weigh in on that as well. Let's look at corruption, for example, which is a major thing that continues to eat the fabrics of this society. Look at it from the CPP standpoint. It is not in power yet. Look at the CPP, the dispensation of people within the CPP. Corruption as a word. What do you think? Are there people who are claiming?
So,
go ahead.
So as we discuss the issue of drastic change as intermediate.
Please zero in within 1 minute.
You come to realize that the very officials of the CPP are informing us on a daily basis that they cannot initiate drastic change.
How so?
The first thing is that, like I told you, the former vice president has admitted the squandering opportunity in the past administration. You come right there. The guys will see corruption, effective lenses, and then will come and justify that in as much.
Do you want to point out a few things, please?
Of course.
Yeah.
Take for instance the situation with the Brandon Samoka situation.
So Brandon Samoka is a corrupt man?
When he served the past president as defense minister, you receive an instruction that you say you're advocating for the masses now. Group of soldiers who are not making anything good. And then you took what belonged to them and had it squandered, for which was found guilty. What you saw Cassidy and other guys doing, they came to defend.
Another instance, please.
You get to the situation where within a very CPP, you come to realize that so many opportunities, approximately more than 16 billion United States dollars investment came to this country that we did analysis about. And all of those things were squandered.
In the words of Joseph Boakai.
In the words of Joe Boakai. So they are not guarantees to assure us of drastic change that will be at a variance in the positive quadrant in favor of the masses.
Thank you.
You can assure that.
Adolphus Guya there, he's the chairman of this exchange of intellectual opinions. And Kesali will respond now, and then we just open the lines to hear from you, our valuable listeners. Kesali, let's look at the subject matter, corruption. How do you think the CPP is going to deal with it?
I mean, before I come to your question, I just want to say it's rather unfortunate that Adolphus comes here under the guise of being independent. We know that he's explicitly displaying, CDC tendencies.
Because he's not agreeing with you?
No. He sat here, he's raised, quite a lot of issues about individual CPP leaders. How many institutions did he mention and raise particular or specific issues about? None. Did he specifically point out issues the government has failed to cater to or provide for the people? Did he? No, by the way, you were to provide an analysis of both sides, right?
Anyway,
so the young man has not said anything that condemns the CDC. Generally condemn what? Look, you are a citizen. I'm quite aware that.
So meaning you cannot discuss the issue of corruption about the CPP until you get this man political affiliation.
What I'm saying,
hold on a little bit.
He does not sit at the pendulum to be able to give you an independent analysis of both sides when he cannot even clearly define his own role. He does not even know his own role. He's deliberately misleading himself. Now, let me tell you this, right? The CDC can be likened to wickedness, corruption, and just heartlessness. The very things that have led our country to be a poor country after 174 years have been perfected by the CDC. The CDC is a clear perfection of the many societal vices that have kept Liberians and Liberia backward. And
CPP, how's it going to deal with corruption?
The CPP
How do you think?
will tackle corruption head on, and we're being very honest with that.
Can you give us some example of some of the actions you've taken within the CPP that shows that you're going to fight corruption?
Absolutely. Okay. We are holding ourselves accountable to the standards we set. That's very important. You saw us, even as members of CPP, openly and publicly chastising Senator Darius DeLong when he slipped. Look, to an extent where a lot of people had to start calling others, members of the CPP and say, hey, the senator has already apologized. Let's let this thing go. He has admitted to his wrong. That's a very clear example that we will not come to power and allow our public officials to steal. Look, it doesn't matter who steals or where it happens or who does it. We will have to hold everyone to the very same standards. We have to set one level of standard for every public official. It's not going to be different. It will not be Senator DeLong versus the entire Senate or versus the legislature. It will have to be the entire legislature being measured by performance. See us asking for our senators. We were here competing and asking our senators and representatives to return the $15,000.
Thank you.
$15,000. That's to tell you, when we come to power, it will be quite different. It will not be business as usual.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kesali. Gentlemen, this is, to me, is one of the best conversations I've had this week. By the way, this is my first time coming on radio this week because we had a very, long break. And with the 8 minutes left, let me squeeze in a few persons quickly on the line. Call us on the numbers 07777 077221223. Let me read this question, this particular comment from Lami and Seyon. Do we have a caller there? Mr. Matthias, where is CDC Youth League? Remember, they went into outrage when Eugene Nangbe posted his man versus full photo on Facebook, and an assistant minister bought a car for his wife and popped a champagne on it. Where is the same outrage about McGill honoring his mother, according to him, giving her a befitting burial? Let's hear from this person. Do we have somebody on the line there? Call us on the numbers 0777 107 0777 221 0777 221 107. I'm hearing calls, buddy. Let's hear from this other person. Good afternoon, sir. Let's hear you briefly.
There's a blessed phrase has not come back for regular research, and a coalition for democratic change for the movement.
Go ahead, sir.
And I join you for the most talk about Baguba Avenue this afternoon.
Go ahead.
So the issue, it baffles some of us to see people coming on the disco in defense or even down beyond and down the CPP. for the fact that we know that Dao didn't lie to the Liberian people and still people coming to defend him. You know, people shouldn't compare national market issue and that didn't, because it's far different. That didn't tell the Liberian people that the economy was in the toilet. So after that, he came back, he made a fly to the United States. Now you want to defend it? I think we're in an error.
Okay.
So CPP, you know, the issue about CPP now have a foundation. For example, you know, when building a one-story building, you cannot build a one-story building and put two-story building while the foundation is not built good.
I don't get that.
That the foundation will break.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's move on to this other person here. Mr. John T. Pele, please, go ahead. Good afternoon.
Yeah, but good afternoon to your guests.
Go ahead.
You know, one thing I want us to know as human right. Nobody can determine the outcome of the attitude of another person. Government is not run by robots. It's run by human beings. But the ability for the leaders to take action. You know, the CVP guys are noted for always putting their neck on chopping goal for their members. When they go wrong, CC is not noted for that. You have seen what the president has done. You're not putting a neck on chopping for anybody. You always say, let audit and let investigate. Don't call Americans all part of the investigate. You don't say I put my neck on chopping goal.
You say what? The president called for audit?
But you forget the 16 billion who the president called to do the audit. The president always called for audit. You don't put neck on chopping goal. So see people, they are noted for putting neck on chopping goal. That is the area. So somebody will come and say, oh, we'll do expert. No, we should not deceive the Liberian people. No one determines the attitude of another person tomorrow.
Okay.
We are to take action when people go wrong, what we look at.
Thank you. Let's hear from this other person. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Martin.
Please go ahead, sir.
There is Uncle Caron, and I call from Jamaica on a day on Avenue.
Go ahead.
Thanks to the two studio guys. For me, all of the questions that you asked and the analysis, I think the federal foreign CEO, being an intellectual head, I think he should have been balanced because he said, I think, in a neutral position. But everything that he said that was the CDC leadership or member, he will come in defense. But when you bring the CPP leader, then he can't out their fault.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's being balanced in that. I
You,
think he should give each of them fault and recommend what they should do going forward.
okay.
But
Thank you.
to be on one side, I think is not fair. Next time when you step in that position, you should be balanced. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
brother.
Thank you so much, Kesali. Please give the listeners a chance to participate. Oh, you, Sam said, he said CDC has finally confirmed that Darius DeLong is the moral compass to determine integrity. Jesus. What a comment. Okay, so we're going to pause it there, folks. It was a pleasure having you guys in the studio this afternoon, you know, on short notice. In fact, interestingly, I reached out. Let's squeeze in the last person. I reached out to two guys just this morning. And they agreed to come. Yeah, the hustle is rough in this town. Let's hear from this
Good
person.
afternoon, Matthias.
Good afternoon, Mr. Harris. Go ahead, please. 30 seconds.
Yeah, David Harris from Nebraska.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Matthias, one issue of the senator.
Hmm.
This senator came to the king because they raised the bar of being transparent, being accountable, being real, being truthful, being open to the public.
Hmm.
But the bar he raised of being transparent, he's not living up to that. So I just want
The CPV got to know,
to know that he's not living up to that.
Okay.
And the last issue has to do with the government CEO, Matthias.
Hmm.
When he's presenting or when he's speaking, you will know that he have a star, but you don't want to come straight. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me begin with you, Mr. Mr. Weah. Please, no, we cannot have.
Hello.
Yeah, lastly, 30 seconds. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Brass Johnson, calling from Randolph Smith.
Go ahead, Johnson.
Yeah, I got a concern to my friend Robert Kesselly, because if you're talking about holding people accountable, measuring the law and other people, I think it's not just by saying things on the radio or just calling on them to returning. That is not no concrete action that we can depend on to put CPP to the helm of leadership. Nothing
Okay.
was done to any of them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We don't have the luxury of time right now. These gentlemen have to use 45 seconds each to conclude. What about you? Not going to go across that time. Please, let me begin with you, Mr. Weah, please. 45 seconds. Let's wrap up.
And so, thank you very much
Mm.
once more, Labendi, into the family of Sky FM. You know, I know reasoning is difficult. Reasoning is difficult, and so sometimes when you're speaking, you are misconstrued. It depends who listening to you, because as I was intimating, I said there are so many wrong things that are happening in this government that this government is grappling with, and we condemn almost every day
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
seal.
Yeah, you said that.
Good. And corruption, the government has too many issues when it comes to corruption that we discuss on a daily basis. Now, we are drawing a variance between the opposition and the ruling establishment, as you asked the question. And so he mentioned drastic change. I said, had there been a guarantee, those who are currently in the CPP, the way they led this country in time past, we are determined as to whether they are able to initiate drastic change or not. The
Okay.
fact that you had 2 minute corruptions comes with drastic change.
Thank you so
And
much.
so
Thank you, Mr. Weah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Mr. Adolphus Weah. Please, for the 5 seconds, Kesali. Kesali is the SG of AMC. Please.
It has been an honor sharing the platform with Chairman Adolphus Weah of CO and CDC. Fellow Liberians, I'd like to tell you that the CDC-led government, unfortunately, is failing and it's going to fail. There's no way they can win themselves such we are, and it is going to remain the hallmark of the day. This government is not truly and honestly committed to changing anything. There's no perfect government, but there must be a government that is committed to changing something, to probably just giving Liberians better agriculture, to ensuring that we have electricity, water. There must be an achievement that stands out. Unfortunately, this government does not have any, and the government will not have any when we go to elections in October of 2023.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure sharing this platform. The time seems to have been very, very.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure having you guys here. It was nice having you. And quickly, I just want to say something about love before I wrap up. Love, real love, from what I've heard, a lot of you women, right? I want to say to you, if someone truly loves you, no matter how many other people they meet, their feelings for you wouldn't change. They always come back. When they go through some higgledy-piggledy situations, he's still going to come back. True love never dies. My name is Matthias Labinde.
Nothing too high.